1.
All right, yeah. I mean, Ryan, at this point, I really don't know what to think, to be honest with you. We're back, Phil and Ryan. Listen up. You have to excuse me, Ryan. I was actually on an official assignment, so I had to catch up on some things. I'm actually out of town, as you can see. So I appreciate you actually waiting for me to get on this episode. I was totally shocked. I was out taking care of some stuff, but I had I can't say who, unfortunately, but I had actually seen some pretty well-known people that was actually watching the UConn game on their tablet while I was out taking care of some business, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. A couple rows back, I was looking down, and I'm like, you have to be kidding me right now. A game that Phil predicted to be close to 90 points. And UConn goes on to lose, Ryan, 69-64 against St. John's. I wouldn't really, I don't want to sit here and just, this whole episode is nothing but, yeah, well, she did this wrong and she this wrong. Look, anything negative. What accomplishing a 24-5 record, which is not that bad in my opinion, compared to everything that's happened to him. But at the same time, the truth has to be told, Ryan, where I just don't with this happening right now, I don't really know, man, if I even actually see a Final Four appearance in my very own eyes.
Well, I think we've definitely reached some unmarked or I don't even know what to call it, some territory that we haven't visited in quite some time when we're talking about the UConn Huskies and some of the losses that they've suffered this season, especially coming this late in the season, I think. But start off the recap in the first quarter. It's you could kind of imagine how this game was going to go right off the swing of things. In the first quarter, St. John's came out really hot shooting the ball, really tight defense on UConn. Huskies also getting out rebounded, especially on the offensive side. Huskies didn't shoot the ball particularly well either. Only shot 4 of 14 in the first. UConn down 7 going into the second, and the 21 points scored by St. John's was the most allowed by UConn in the first quarter for the entire season in any game so far. Second quarter, St. John's again continued to shoot the lights out. UConn again, same thing happened. Still struggled shooting the ball. Started 2-9 in the second quarter. Red Storm went on another run. This time it was 9-2, which helped them take a 5-point lead into halftime. Now in the third quarter, UConn started off a lot better. Went on an 11-0 run. But then again, St. John's fought right back like they did the whole entire game and stayed with UConn mostly on top the whole entire game. Followed it up with an 8-0 run. Bad technical foul call on Aaliyah. Morgan Valley and Gino were arguing with the refs. Had to hold Gino back there for a little bit. There's also a bad foul call, in my opinion, on Dorka. But like we said before, I mean, the referees, they're going to make bad calls throughout the game. It's not going to be perfect, but I think that's a lot of UConn fans would say there's been a couple of bad foul calls in recent games. But, foul trouble, speaking about the fouls, UConn was dealing with some. Nika, Aubrey, and Dorka all had 3 fouls going into the fourth quarter. UConn also is still trailing by 3 going into the final 10 minutes. And Dorka, you could really tell she was exhausted most of the night, really struggled in the post. And some of it probably has to do with that sprained ankle that she suffered in practice. But Amari came into the game with about 7 minutes left. She got 2 blocks, but despite UConn's efforts on defense, St. John's, they just continued to play better offense. And like I said in the first half about the rebounding, St. John's continued to get offensive rebounds, second chance points. They were outworking, out hustling UConn for most of the game. And the tiredness, the exhaustion from UConn, it's really turned into the main storyline for the past month. But UConn did not quit like they always never quit. They always have fight until the end. Lou Lopez Seneschal scored 7 straight points, including a 3, cut the deficit to just 3 points with about 2 minutes left. Dorka went 1 of 2 at the line, made it a 2-point game. But again, Jayla Everett hit a huge bucket with just under a minute left to put St. John's back up by 5 points. And UConn went almost scoreless for about 3 minutes there, the final 3 minutes. And UConn started to play the fouling game, but it just wasn't enough tonight from the UConn Huskies. And to say it's a disappointing loss would probably be an understatement. First loss to St. John's since 2012. And St. John's takes it 69-64. And this is a pretty interesting stat as well. UConn has scored less than 70 points for 5 straight games, its longest streak since 1992. So many streaks that have been broken this year and last year, from UConn losing to an unranked opponent, losing multiple conference games, losing back-to-back games. So really just an unthinkable stretch that UConn's been on the wrong side of.
And a lot of people have said with my score prediction that, well, they don't have enough. It's not enough in their lineup. They don't have enough depth, to get to 90 points. I mean, I think Ryan, it's a great point. In my opinion, I wanted to bring it up to you to see what you would say. Like always, cannot wait to hear what you have to say. Main reason why I come on this, right? No, to hear you. But no, really, I mean, a lot of people, Ryan, I read through the comments. They said, well, they have about UConn has 35, 40 points sitting on the bench every game. And I would agree with that, but at the same time, I would kind of have to disagree with it only because I think Amari DeBerry and Ayanna Patterson, man, to me, they're very versatile and they can adapt well to the game. They get in trends. Possibly some of these players that we hardly ever see play, they may have a greater impact on the game without the ball in their hands. So, I mean, right now, would you sit back and I don't want to use the word criticize, man, because this is a great coaching staff, but man, now I'm starting to lean towards our subscribers that have told us all year, man, hey, why not give them more playing time? Why not give her more playing time? And now you want to sit back and say, I don't want to say it's a little too late, but is it?
Well, and that's a very good point because I watched some of the post game and if I can recall some of the comments that Gino made, he actually said there was 2 that I can remember that was just similar to what you just said. And one of them was that Gino said that UConn really doesn't have anybody that can score the ball besides Lou Lopez Seneschal. So I thought that was a really interesting point. He said at halftime that their bigs weren't doing enough. He said that there's really nobody that can score besides Lou, which is really interesting. And he also said that at this point in the season, you can't really fix anything. So just from
now I think you and Gino want to light our comment section up tonight.
I mean, I just think it's a really it's a really interesting statement that a couple of statements that Gino made tonight, because definitely the confidence obviously isn't there from Gino based off of those comments. I understand obviously he's upset and disappointed about this loss, as I imagine all the coaches and players are. But talking about the bench, I wrote this down and wanted to bring it up. Both teams used 3 subs tonight, and St. John's outscored UConn's bench by 26 points. Now, I realized UConn always gets less bench points than pretty much every team they play because they usually only play 6 players, whether it's because of injuries or Gino just only plays 6 players in general. But if they do play Ayanna and Amari, just like tonight, they usually only get about 5 minutes combined between the both players. But it's just something to consider and think about when UConn always relies on a couple of players and other teams have players coming off the bench that can drop 20 points like Danielle Patterson did tonight for the Red Storm. But I mean, UConn's 38% shooting tonight from 3, 35% from the field, season low. St. John's on the other side shot 50% from 3-point range. So like Gino also said, St. John's was the better team tonight. They played like the better team tonight, and that's why they won. So again, hats off to the St. John's Red Storm. They played really good defense. They shot the ball well, and they pretty much did everything to beat UConn, and hence why they won this game.
and you said a lot of stuff is happening that you're not even too sure. It's not clear why. You don't know why it's happening, what's going on as we approach the month of March. I mean, you sit back and you kind of criticize me saying 90 points. You predicted 90 points. Well, worse off, it was a loss. But I mean, now what if I would have predicted just right down the street? I have to shout out to Maryland. What if I would have predicted, all right, Ryan, I'm going to tell you they're going to put up 96 points on Iowa, and they're only holding Caitlin Clark tonight to 18 points. All right, well, you see my point, Ryan, because prior to the tip-off of the game, people would have been calling me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, it's
I think basically the point to you that I'm getting at is, especially around this time of the year, we need to take a grip as sports fans, man. And I don't know if you agree with me or not. Take a grip. And we preached this. I think we preached this way back when, even before that we started talking about the UConn Huskies and covering them. Anything can happen, man.
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen for sure. And also tonight it was the rebounding as well. UConn got out rebounded, and 3 out of the 5 losses this season have come when UConn gets out rebounded. So like I said before, in the first, right out of the gates, you could really tell that UConn was tired to open the game. And the tiredness showed throughout the game. And St. John's really just outworked them tonight. UConn was pretty much trailing the whole game. But it brings up something interesting now. UConn has to win their last 2 games of the season to keep their 1-game lead in the Big East over Villanova. So it's that just makes it even more interesting for these Big East teams.
Well, comments, and then we will head out, Ryan. Again, very shocking. Am I still coming through clear or no?
Yep, I still got
Can
you.
you still hear me? All right. I know going out of town can be a pain sometimes, but hey, guys, love the show. I don't get the sort of way off predictions. So 90 points, really, this team has huge trouble scoring points. No way is there 90 points in starting 5 with Caroline coming off the bench. Their offense does not look good, and their defense is going to have to win games. I think with the February crunch, they have finally hit a wall a couple of times. I honestly do not think it would be a horrible thing if they got knocked out of the Big East tournament. Maybe. I know a lot of people may disagree, but that's just my opinion. I'm glad that was from Anthony Tomasi. I'm glad that he actually brought that up, Ryan, because I had discussion with you before. I'm like, man, do I want to bring this up on the podcast, Ryan, that I might get actually criticized a lot more. I'm like, man, look at the weight it carries between. I get it. You're automatically assumed a bid for the NCAA tournament, but look at the situations. I mean, especially in this situation, how much weight is it carrying? Do you want a conference title or a chance at, I'm not even going to say national championship in this case, a chance at the Final Four?
Well, I think most of the time, 100% of the time, I would think you'd pick the Final Four chance. And yeah, I mean, it definitely is a good point because obviously, like I said, you can tell UConn's just tired. So obviously they're going to play every game to win, but maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing if they don't win the Big East tournament and do get knocked out early. So they have just a couple more days or an extra week to kind of prepare for March Madness. And I think, in terms of winning the Big East, I'm sure it is a big deal, but it's not quite as a big deal as making the Final Four and possibly going to the national championship because, even if UConn obviously doesn't win the Big East, they're still going to make March Madness. Now, will it affect their seeding? Maybe they might drop down to a 2 seed. They might have dropped down to a 2 seed with the loss tonight. So, but you can't worry about the seeding. We know UConn's going to make it to March Madness, and that is really all that matters.
Again, we apologize. Late, better than never. Final score again, 69-64, as Kadaja Bailey and Danielle Patterson both lead with 20 each, Ryan. And I'm not too sure, man. I mean, you have DePaul on the schedule and you have Xavier. I'm not too sure what to expect from here on out, to be honest with you. Next one, we have those special guests. Jason, we are ready for you, and we hope that you are ready for us. It's Connecticut and DePaul. Check in on Friday, Saturday, Ryan, approximately 4 o'clock. But for now, Ryan, let's at least try to sleep like a baby. Phil and Rye on Listen Up.